All right, before we set up this automation, there's one thing that we need to do. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Opportunities on the left-hand side, and we're going to go to Pipelines. And you can see I've got a bunch of different pipelines. I've got a vendor demo one right here. I'm going to click on that, and you can see it's got a bunch of different stages. The last stage is the Send Review Request. Now, there's a couple different triggers. If you remember, inside of automations, there's triggers and actions and then follow-up sequences. So one of the triggers that we want to do is when a contact moves in this pipeline stage, send review requests, we want it to automate sending a review request. There's a couple different automations that we're going to add for triggers, but this is one that I wanted to show you as an option. So before we can create that automation, we have to add send review request inside the pipeline. So now it is a stage in that pipeline. We're going to click Save, and we're in the vendor demos. So let's go to the automations now. And we want to create a folder, so review request folder. So just create a folder and label it 0.0 review requests, and then open up that folder. And we're going to create a workflow, and we're going to select a recipe. And this recipe is already built out for you, so you really don't have to do a whole lot. It's recipe send review requests, so just select that. I've already done that, so I'm just going to go back to my workflows here. And I'm going to open mine up. And this is what yours will look like when it opens. So you'll see it's got a bunch of different triggers at the top. The first trigger is when the appointment is marked as showed. So if an appointment is marked as showed, then you may want to send out a review request. If the appointment pipeline stage change, now remember we added the send review request to that pipeline stage. So what I did was I created a brand new trigger, and we're going to say workflow. Let's do stage. So pipeline stage changed, and you want to in pipeline, and remember it was in the vendor demo pipeline, and then just change that to pipeline stage is send review request. I've already got it here, so I'm not going to save this, but then you would just save that trigger. The next one is opportunity as one. So if you remember, if you're moving contacts from stage to stage, let's go back here. I'll show you where that is in opportunities. And we'll go to the vendor demo. So we've got a bunch of fake names in here. What you can do is just click and drag this to there, and it will send. Or down the bottom, you've got the lost, abandoned, and won. You can also just move it to the one column, and it'll do the same thing. It'll send that request also, because that's one of the triggers in the automation. So that little bar at the bottom where it said lost, abandoned, and won. If you move it to one, then it will send this review request. I'm going to go back into that automation recipe. The last one is when the trigger is added. Now we haven't created a trigger tag yet, so we would want to create a trigger tag, and then let's say send review request. And if you remember, I always put dashes, so that's going to be my tag, and I'm going to add new tag. Send review request. So now we've got 4 different triggers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And any of these can send this review request. One of the most complicated ones that I would think is this one right here, is the appointment showed. And the reason is, if somebody just shows up for an appointment, is that really the right time to be asking them for a review, right? Just because they showed up for an appointment probably doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready for a review request. They may not even be a customer. They may still be in the sales process, something like that. So you could narrow and add another filter to this to make it a little bit more specific and make it, let's say you've got a sales calendar and then you've got a client calendar, client onboarding call calendar, something like that. So you may want to add an additional filter to this specific trigger to get you a little bit higher quality, if you will, right? Narrow it down a little bit. Or you can just delete that trigger altogether. You don't necessarily need that. We've already got the pipeline stage changed. We've got the opportunity as one, and we also have a tagging trigger in there. So all three of those triggers are fine. If you wanted to add the appointment trigger, I would recommend adding the additional filter on that. Next is we go click the plus sign, and you want to send, just search send, and this is a send review request, and review type and SMS or email, and you can do a wait here, wait 60 minutes. I would also do an advanced here. I would do a wait here also. And we want to make sure that we're TCPA compliant, and we can do Saturday and Sunday too, but let's move this to 8 p.m. We don't want these going out at 3 o'clock in the morning or anything. Right? So 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., save action. So any text message, I'll make sure I put this, it's called a wait TCPA. TCPA. Right? So the wait TCPA just means it's going out between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. Then we've got a send request for the SMS. We have a wait 60 minutes. So this is going to wait 60 minutes. And then this is going to send an email request. So we just created another one, and we just click that plus sign. We hit send review request, and then this time, instead of selecting SMS, we selected email. And now the email, we don't have to type the email, because remember the email that we wrote was in the reputation settings, and we did that in one of the first videos. So you don't have to write the email, you just need to select the action. And then once that's all done, you click save and publish, and save it again. There we go. So now your automation to send out a review request, there's a couple other little things I would do. So next thing I do is going to settings. Now sometimes you may want to send out a review request multiple times, right? They didn't fill it out the first time, whatever. So you could allow re-entry into this. You could also have it stop on response. That's kind of important, because if they've already filled out a request, you don't need them to necessarily fill out another review. And you could have your specific times, but this will go for email and text message. And then you can mark it all as red, and you probably don't want to do that because you want to monitor your review requests anyway. So go ahead and click save there. Don't need anything with the enrollment history or the execution log, so that's fine. All right, in the last video for this series, we're going to show you how to add the widget to the website.